All right. Here we are, Book 3, Chapter 10, Chapter 82 of the trilogy. And we'll come together and set the intention. So our intention is to collectively hold compassionate, loving space for each other, where we really can accept one another and seek to understand one another, to really form a big picture perspective, a big picture understanding of this material that we're looking at, and the nature of reality, to come to get a good grip on it. So let's go around and do a quick check-in and see what everybody thought of this chapter. Daniel, what do you think?
I like the chapter. It's more of a continuation from the previous chapters in terms of expanding his, I guess, sort of vision from actualization versus unactualized states, or state vectors, I think he's called it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting how we can always go back and visit the unactualized states, and anyone can go and see our states or our past or unactualized simulations. So,
yeah.
cool.
And it's all in there.
It's all in there. I think there's one part that says you can't even hide yourself, right? So
yeah, there's no hiding. There's no secrets.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right on. Nadine, what do you think?
Well, you know, like I said, I haven't read 8 or 9 because I said, okay, I'm going to focus on 10. And then I realized exactly what Daniel is saying is that I guess it's a continuation. So I did get the idea, but I want to go deeper and go back to 8 and 9. But what I got from it is that all the choices that we haven't made, all the possibilities are somewhere and in the past as well as the future, and we can go and access them. So I got that, but I have to go back to my 2 other chapter, maybe to understand it more deeply of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I, you know, the part that other people can access mine, I don't know if. Because I haven't read the other 2, I didn't quite get that, but you know, we'll see. I'm interested to hear from you. I was really impressed to see. Oh, we are already at chapter 10. This is like halfway, if not a little bit more, in book 3, and I'm starting to say, oh my goodness, we are almost at the end.
We're almost there.
Yeah, so it's really exciting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it for me. So I found that, you know, on my own, especially being in a different environment, I couldn't keep it up. And so, you know, again, the group and being in a group for that kind of reading is really so much. I think it wouldn't happen otherwise. So helpful. So, yeah, it was great to come back.
Nice to have you back. We missed you.
Yeah, well, I missed you too, guys.
Mm-hmm. And Christine, how about you?
I loved this chapter.
Yeah.
Especially after, I think there was last 2 chapters were really challenging, and this one I thought was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. So it seems like it was more philosophy as opposed to the mathematics. So I think it was enjoyable. It's good.
Yeah, I really liked it too. Like I said, I just listened to it on Audible, but I liked it. And Tommy had a sense of humor. I was laughing out loud a lot. It was fun. It was good. It was a nice, refreshing chapter. It was our reward for going through the last 2 chapters.
You guys have not encouraged me to go back because I like that one, and I said, oh, finally it's stuff that I can understand and relate to. And I was looking at the 2 others, and I think I was looking at all those kind of you know, I could tell that it was more you know, on the math side. So
I realize now why we're kind of slowing down, because we wanted Nadine to catch up to us.
That's right. That's right, Daniel. I appreciated that. I said, oh, there's only at number 10. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not like towards number 15 or something. You can't really, it's not as easy to catch up because every chapter takes a while, right? And I looked at the other and they looked a bit science to me, just from so I said, oh, okay, maybe I'll do 10 as if like getting back into the the groove, and then and also because I'm going to listen to you guys and that will help me.
Yeah, for sure. So today, I guess, is going to be, we only did one chapter and we'll only be on the call for an hour.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't have the book in front of me, so
Okay.
I'm going to be doing a lot of listening today, which is good. I practice my listening skills.
Yeah. So do we want to go ahead with the first page and see if there's anyone highlight anything or any insights there? That's page. What page is that? 699, is it?
Yep, 699. I had the first sentence of the second paragraph. You are the entity that made the free will choices you made. There are representations or models of you that populate all the possibilities that you could have made but didn't within the unactualized past. There are also models of you populating the unactualized possible future state. So I just underlined that, and I feel like that was sort of setting us up for the whole chapter. What he was going to talk about.
Yeah. I think in this chapter he talks about your consciousness being in the PMR and all the other unactualized simulations of you are just that. There's no consciousness, there's no free will, and which I thought was kind of interesting.
Right. It's like almost like a movie.
Yeah, exactly. You can see yourself there, but there's not. You're not living it. Let's say, right?
Right. Right. And I think later on he talks about how it's there in order to learn from it, right? So you can go back and kind of
yeah, exactly.
You can go back and kind of take a look at what your other choices, how that would have impacted your life.
Exactly.
Well, I was happy to see that the other model or the copy, or I don't know how you call them, the copy of you don't have the free will, because otherwise they would choose for you. Right? Yeah. So it would be like an interference, isn't it? There's one entity which makes the free will, and then the other ones are just copy, right? Yeah.
You make a good point there, because I think that if all these other copies had free will, then they can choose whatever they want to do, and there'd be so much chaos.
Exactly. Yeah, it would be chaotic, right? Because imagine all those people having all those copies, and everybody is doing. So I think that's was good. I had exactly where you stopped, Christine. I had kind of the 4 or 5 sentences after you. The sentient unit of individual consciousness exists only in the present, as you make free will choices that actualize one possibility over another, and thereby modify the quality of your consciousness. The models of you are simply an enumeration of all the possible choices you could have made or could yet make, right? So I really like that, because Tom Campbell, he really explained it his own ways, right, with his simulation. But for me, it also, when he says is you exist only in the present. For me, that's a lot like a lot of other people I've read that talks about being in the present and making the choice here in this present moment. So I think he's referring to that as well. So they're all saying this, but for him, I mean, he goes a bit further, right? but they're all saying the only moment that really counts, that has an impact and can make you evolve, is right here, right now. Right? So I kind of like that.
Right.
Yeah,
Kind of validates some of the other stuff you've read, Nadine.
Pardon me?
It validates some of the things that you've read, other things.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, it kind of makes sense, and with Tom Campbell though. And what I like is it's stretched further, right? Because he's got all this other stuff going on about the other choices and that, and so that's really different, and that's what I'm trying to grasp. And so it's really interesting, but it does validate everything everybody has been saying. There is no past, there is no future, it's the now.
Yeah. I've started taking a hypnotherapy course, and I'm reading a book called Develop Your Psychic Powers, and they all talk about the same things that Tom's talking about, but Tom goes into much greater detail. So when reading or listening to these other sources of that, I know what they're talking about. It was so much easier to understand, right? So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, after reading Tom, anything else would be so much easier. So it's good. Yeah, we'll have to find something more challenging, I guess, when we finish Tom's book. But
so Vanessa, do you know anything else that's more challenging than Tom's book?
Do I think what's more challenging?
If there's any other books that's more challenging than Tom's?
Oh yeah, Stephen Hawking, rest his soul, but he was challenging. I couldn't get into him. Kind of material,
But he's more math related though too, right? So more left brained.
Yeah. Exactly. But that's what I like about Tom, because he said it's unifying philosophy, physics, and metaphysics. If it's only about physics, I will never read it. No, it's too hard, right? And it doesn't interest me as much.
Right.
Anyways, it's
anything on the first page that we highlighted or want to make a note of?
Well, we were talking about the model or the copy of you, and I found that interesting. The last couple of sentences, it says, this model of you is updated and improved with each set of choices that your conscious free will intent actualize. So every time you make a choice, actually, your copy of you is updated with that choice. That is fascinating. How does this happen? I like to visualize it a bit, but it's hard right now.
I know last week we talked about that introverted bit where he's kind of encouraged all of us to go and talk to people and not be alone. And actually, I was thinking about that the other day, where I was networking with a lot of people, and from understanding or listening to what they were saying, it just created so much more extra awareness for myself, so much quicker. I mean, yeah, perhaps down the road I would have figured it out, but by talking to people, that awareness came to me so much faster.
Right.
So I like what he said last chapter.
In itself, right?
What's that?
Just saying that it's similar to the book club in that we gain a lot more understanding by discussing it.
Right. Exactly. So if you look at life in general, if you want to really learn and grow, you need to go talk to other people. Not try to explore yourself. I guess being alone to try to figure out what is the next thing you need to know or learn, and then going out and talking to people and research and gaining more awareness of that situation or that area.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's the same thing with sorry, Vanessa, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, I was just saying that's what life is all about: interacting, engaging with people, relating to each other. Yeah. This whole awareness I've gotten from this book club helps me too. Even just like being in the mall and seeing all these people and passing and knowing everyone has a story and everyone's unique, and and being curious about, what's going on with each person that's passing by, and not being as judgmental. Before, I used to judge people a lot based on what they were wearing, how they might behave. But now I'm really just wanting to hold space for them and understand them and get curious to learn more about them. A lot of work. Yeah.
Yeah. The more we go through life, I find, the more I realize it's all about basically the experience. It's like being in an experiment, right? Because that's what it's all about. You come, you just experience stuff, and it's all about an experience. So that's, exactly, Vanessa, what you were saying. When you look at it as an experience that you are going through, then there is no need really to start judging people and criticizing and all that, because it's all everybody is doing an experience, and learning from whatever experience they. So it just shifted, I think, the way you look at things.
Totally. And most of us don't even know that this is an experiment and that we're meant and that we actually have a purpose here. Most of us are just kind of floundering around aimlessly. And so it's up to us to have compassion for those of us who don't know the rules of the game, right? If people are being obnoxious or annoying or whatever we might label them as, it's because they don't know why they're here. And, so we have a responsibility to create a safe space for them to be themselves so that they can figure out on their own terms why they're here. And
we all have a different state of consciousness, and you just got to acknowledge where they are, and they're learning and growing at their pace, right? Whereas we're learning and growing at our own paces, and it's just,
and they help us.
I see a cat. Sorry, Vanessa. Daniel, your cat just went through.
Yes.
Sorry, all of a sudden I was kind of listening and I saw this black cat. Sorry.
Should we go to the next page and see if anyone has anything there?
Yeah.
Page 700.
And also, can I just say something about the experience part? I think what it also kind of changed is that whatever happens, you don't look at it as, oh, this is a good thing, or, oh, no, this is bad, I wish wouldn't happen. Because you look at it as, okay, this is part of the experience that I'm having. So I think it helps you keep more on a I don't know how you call that, but on a level that you don't get upset, right?
I've become more inquisitive. Like a certain situation has happened, and then I'll ask myself, "But why did it happen? Like, why? What am I learning here?" What I always ask myself.
Or why it didn't happen, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
I have an example that I drove out to Metrotown today. Christine, Metrotown is probably like the biggest mall, I guess, here in the Lower Mainland where we live. And I needed to return something, and I wanted to get a new jacket and stuff. Anyway, so I drove out here, and it's about 45 minutes from where I live. And then I get here, and I start heading towards, close my car, go into the mall, and I'm like, oh, wouldn't that be funny if I forgot my wallet? Sometimes I do that, and I go into my purse, and there's no wallet. And I'm like, oh, interesting. I forgot my wallet. And then I'm like, okay, I have a choice here. I can be upset, but whatever. It is what it is. I guess I'm not meant to go shopping today. So I go back to my car, get in my car, and I turn it on, and then I look on the passenger seat, and there's my wallet. It has fallen out of my purse.
Where was that?
Where?
Yeah. Where was the wallet?
Oh, the wallet was on the passenger seat. It had fallen out of my purse on the passenger seat. Yeah.
Oh, good.
It's a good thing that you saw it before heading home.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh,
and it's a good example too of not allowing myself to be triggered in the moment, because I think the old me would have been like, oh, fuck, I forgot my wallet, drove all the way out here, Jesus Christ, you know what I mean?
Why me?
Yeah,
why me?
It always happens to me. You know what my first thought was though is when I got in my car and I saw my wallet there, I was like, oh, I wonder if LCS just put that in my data stream. Like it's easy enough, you know what I'm saying? Like who knows what actually would have happened? So it would have been easy enough for the LCS to just put it in my data stream to kind of be like, there's your wallet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
So you went back shopping.
So I did. I got my shop on. Found me some shoes.
Nice.
Oh,
A nice
my
day to go
God.
shopping.
I should get some glasses because these are Teo's sunglasses. She would have seen me wearing them.
Oh my goodness, yeah. With the sun.
Yeah.
Okay, let's continue.
Okay.
Anything on page 700? Second page of the chapter.
The second piece. Okay.
Yeah, I guess we need to move a little bit faster because
Yeah.
26 minutes and another 10 pages to go or 11 pages to go.
Well, you know, for me, because I wasn't there for the other two chapters, all the paragraph, the first paragraph starting at although, for me, I highlighted it, but I think it's something that he probably is a repetition from the other chapter, but for me it was new. So I found it, you know, I highlighted it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
I don't need to read it all, but
Yeah.
because I think it's like is it like a summary or something? Because it seems like he's explaining.
I think he said it here in terms of, you know, all the other simulations, unactualized parts are just copies of you. It doesn't have any consciousness. It doesn't know how to. It doesn't have free will.
Mm-hmm.
So it can't decide what's best for that part of the simulation.
Mm-hmm. And then to understand how this copy of me happens, I have to read the other two.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll read them, and then if I have questions, I'll get back to you guys.
Yeah.
Because that's probably the most fascinating part.
What was it, Nadine? To understand how this copy of you happened?
Yeah, I that's what I figured, that this is what I missed. The other two chapters, he probably explained, you know, this copy of me, of everybody, right? So I have to go back and try to understand it, and if I don't, well, I'll come back.
Hey, you guys, please forgive my ignorance because I didn't read it, I just listened to it. But isn't he, when he's referring to the copy of us, isn't he just referring to this avatar, like the free will awareness unit?
I think no, I don't know. I haven't read the other chapter, but I think he's referring to copy of us in the NP. NPMR, and it's just has nothing to do with PMR, I think. But I like, this is what I don't get, but I know why. I haven't done the work.
Yeah, the copies are just basically copies of within all the options that are possible to us in that specific time frame before it goes on to the next delta T. Right.
Well, that's the part that is really difficult, the delta T stuff, and so I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'll try to figure it out. Yeah.
What he's saying is that he's really referencing, and correct me if I'm wrong, he talks a lot about the unactualized database in the previous chapters, right? Yeah. And so he's just kind of saying that we exist there too. Mm-hmm. A copy of us does.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, a copy of us. Yeah, a copy of us exists in the unactualized database.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I have on 701, second sentence of the second paragraph. Your primary consciousness energy, sometimes called the oversoul, remains always conscious in NPMR. Think of the oversoul as your main personal data folder. And then a little bit further down in the third paragraph, I have the fragment of you in this PMR may be no more real, special, significant, or successful than other free will expressing fragments of you that have been, are, or will be spread around in various realities.
And then he has it bracketed past, present, or future.
Right. And then the last sentence of the the third, fourth paragraph, Though your oversoul is immortal, your present personal identity will only persist as long as your oversoul finds it profitable to maintain it. So what I thought was kind of cool, interesting, and what my question is about that is, when he says your present personal identity, are you talking about Christine?
Yeah.
Is he talking about, yeah?
Yeah.
And then is he talking about, like, you'll die when you're kind of, basically, I guess what my question is like, is it just this one life experience packet, right? Like, does Christine get recycled in another life experience packet?
The quality of your consciousness that Christine contains gets recycled.
As Christine, though, that's my question.
Not as Christine. Like, you won't go into your next life and be you, Christine. Like, you won't,
Okay.
you'll be different. Yeah, but it'll be the same quality of consciousness that you've earned.
So it's your body stays here, but your mind, your consciousness comes back, right? As in a different body.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we were talking about Stephen Hawkins and saying, oh, he'll be back really soon. And then I think one of the, Nathan, I think from one of the groups, is that he's going to come back, and within 20 years, he's going to design a time machine or something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would be unlikely.
Yeah.
Because that would be kind of similar to what Christina's saying then. That would be like Stephen Hawking coming and retaining Stephen Hawking.
I think he'll come back as a different person. You know, this person,
Yeah.
when he's young, he's going to be like, oh, how does this guy know all this stuff? Like a 7-year-old, how does he know all this stuff, right?
See, but my understanding is that Stephen Hawking doesn't come necessarily back as a very intelligent male or female. He could come back as somebody who's mentally challenged, right?
Good.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because his soul needs that particular type of experience.
Right.
That's right. He could come back as somebody very right-brained and emotional and, intuitive, not somebody who's very logical and analytical like he is now.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just he may have been in this reality as being very left-brained, but then the LCS says, well, I think you need to go back and experience some of the right-brain characteristics of your consciousness.
Yeah. It's like Tommy. Before Tom came to this reality, he was always very right-brained. He said when he first came into this reality, he was walking around as a kid, like chanting. And then he kept getting nudged to go into science. Science needed to be a scientist, right?
So how does the LCS know what you need to come back as?
They probably work with the databases, right? And they probably will see, like, okay, what will be the outcome if we put this IUOC into this avatar? And then they run the future probability, and they're like, oh, yeah, it's not going to increase the quality of our collective consciousness that much. So let's try this over here. And then they'll run another experiment, and then they'll decide.
Right.
I'm speculating.
Find the most profitable simulation is, okay, you're going back as this.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anything else on page 701? Let's go to 702.
Just to add to that, Daniel, what you were saying, like, how does the LCS know what you should come back as? Most, I think, well, Tom said too, most people just need any experience, so they just kind of get thrown in here. And then as you grow the quality of your consciousness, you've been here a few times, then we, as IUOCs, get to choose. Like, they'll ask us, what do you think you need to work on? I'll say this, and, anger or whatever. And then I think we get to play I think we get to decide what we want to come back as. Like,
going for your master's degree?
What's that?
It's like going for your master's. You choose what you're going to do, what your thesis is on.
Yeah, and that includes which PMR we're going to come to as well, right?
Exactly.
And then I think as you get even more evolved, like in Tommy's case, you don't really have a choice in the matter. They're just like, nope, we got a plan for you, and then they throw you in that plan, right? So it depends where we are.
Okay, guys, 702 or 703?
702. I had, let's see if this makes sense. 702, the second last paragraph. I had your ability to apply energy to PMR from NPMR induce paranormal events by focusing your intent may be limited by your beliefs, ignorance, access privileges, and the psi uncertainty principle, but is never limited by an unavailability of basic energy. Like, I don't know why I highlighted. I did.
I remember hearing that too. And then I remember him saying something like, you know, with light workers, which is a term we use in the New Age community, light workers, they never run out of light. They always have enough light to heal. So, yeah, there's an abundant amount of energy in light.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's what he is saying just before the paragraph that you just mentioned, Daniel. At the end of, I think, the third paragraph, he said there is unlimited energy awaiting your command in NPMR.
Okay.
So I think he's referring to that. There is no limit, right? Because
Okay.
he said it's like primal energy is like air on earth. Like the supply is there.
Right. There's just an abundance of energy around that you can draw upon. Okay. Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
How about 703? Anything there?
Yeah, I had in the first paragraph, it says first sentence, it says, you may be on a specific mission to accomplish a specific task that has to do with your personal growth and perhaps the personal growth of others, or your mission may be non-specific, but more importantly, you are adding to the growth of the whole of you while you are focused in this particular PMR experience. And then actually that second paragraph, some of this is a little bit, I think he's just reinforcing stuff he said in the back and previously. You're here to develop the quality of your consciousness. The best thing you can do for the whole is to improve yourself by effectively utilizing the opportunities that you have. It is that simple. I really liked that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's sort of saying the same thing over again, but in a slightly different way. He's now including the word oversoul.
Oversoul, right?
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that. This is the first time I read about, he mentioned oversoul. And I don't know exactly what he means by that.
Your IUOC.
Oh, that's the oversoul?
That
So he calls it just a different name, I guess.
That was my understanding when I was listening to it. What about you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
Same here? Okay. So it's not something new or anything.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes it...
I like the next sentence. He goes, the best thing you can do for the whole is improve yourself by effectively utilizing the opportunities you have. It is that simple.
It is that simple. Yeah.
Yeah.
I highlighted the same thing as you guys.
Right?
Yeah. I have exactly the same thing highlighted as you guys. Yeah. It's that simple.
Yeah.
And I think he goes on from there and he says, you know, if you think that you've been given kind of the short end of the stick and if something must have happened where it's not fair for you, you didn't get a very good life experience packet, he's like, then you're not going to be able to grow up very much because you're basically, that's the attitude that you've come in with, right?
Right.
That's not conducive to helping you evolve. That's playing the victim.
Yeah, I think that's the next paragraph, because you're not in a disadvantaged situation that has been imposed upon you from the outside. If you believe that you are in a disadvantaged situation, you are indeed a disadvantaged situation.
Yeah.
One created by your beliefs, fears, and ego. A situation that only you can change. The success that I am referring to is the success of improving the quality of your consciousness, not making lots of money in the stock market.
Yeah. That's right.
I love how he brings up the ego in a very
nonchalant manner.
nonchalant manner, right? And then like right at the end goes, not making lots of money in the stock market.
Yeah.
Right.
And there are a lot of times when I'm thinking about it, because like, how do I stop thinking from the intellect side, right? From the egotistical manner, and think more from the heart. It's not easy, that's for sure.
Yeah,
No.
and Daniel, with that intent though that you have, I think that's going to help you do just that. Because he always brings it back to it's your intent. If you have the intent to grow up, you will.
Yeah.
Right?
And I always try to, if my intent sounds too egotistical, I always ask them, how can I change it so it's more from the being level versus from the head? Right?
Yeah.
It's got me thinking, which is good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now we got to get you feeling.
Yeah, exactly. You got it.
Yeah.
Anything else on that page?
I really like that part that you had underlined, because he's like, it's your belief, if you believe that you're at a disadvantage, well, then you will be, because that's how you feel. It's all about your thoughts and your feelings, your attitude. It comes down to that. It's that simple.
Right. Actually, I had a client yesterday when I was coaching, and I said that, it's your belief systems that's created who you are, and he had trouble understanding that. He had trouble believing that, all these belief systems, all these limited beliefs he had was holding him back from experience what life could be. Right? So it was but then he realized, okay, yeah, I can see that, and it sort of opened a door for him, which I thought was really, really cool. And then right near the end, he goes, okay, if I did this, then this would happen, right? And I just said, just visualize, see what happened. So I was just sort of helping him go into his NPMR state, just imagine what would happen and just see what the realities could be. And he saw some things that he thought he was capable of. And I said, okay, what's holding you back from that? And he goes, oh my gosh, he had a realization, right? His parents, right? So I thought, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just being here at the mall too. When I'm walking around here, sometimes I'll see these stores. Like there's this new store that popped up. It's called Hollywood Boutique. And my first thought when I go in there is, I'm like, oh man, all this stuff is so tacky. And then I'm kind of like, how do they make a successful business out of this? Like, wow, what must they do? And I really feel like it just comes down to the owner or the people involved in it. They just have this strong belief, this strong intent, that they will succeed at it, and they do, in spite of everyone else. I've been looking a lot into marketing and branding and all this, trying to get awareness for what we're doing. And I love what Elon Musk has to say, which really kind of settles me down and put the brakes on things and slow down and just kind of enjoy life more. He says, all you need to do, he's like, I never spent a dime on advertising. He's like, never spent a dime. All I did was I worked on my craft. I made sure that what I was doing was that I was creating the best product, the best service that I possibly could. And that's all I did. And if I'm doing that and putting all my energy into that, then it will be successful. People will want to experience it. And that'll just get out. The word will just get out. And look how successful he is and how many people follow Elon, right? And he hasn't put a dime into advertising.
Well, you're sharing a vision that other people would like as well, right? So people jump on the bandwagon, and that just creates the masses, right?
Yeah.
Talk about, going to Mars and creating a population there, right? So when everyone thought, yeah, let's do it, it gets funding, and then it becomes real.
Yeah. Yeah. Blows me away. But so many of these other people out there who are also doing well, but they focus on advertising, marketing, how to get their word out. And to me, it just kind of, I feel like I'm in the rat race because there's so many people out there that are hustling, that are, trying to get their word out there. So yeah, I like Elon's perspective on it, and I think that Tom would resonate with it too, which is, just do your best at the service that you're providing, at serving others. Put all your energy into that, and the people will come. You'll attract the right people.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, how about 704? Page 704. Anything there?
I have the second sentence of the second paragraph. Says your local reality is a shared reality that represents the vector sum of all the free will choices of all interacting players. How the virtual bell bounces and the virtual cookie crumbles is the result of a shared effort. And then the last sentence, Team Earth succeeds or fails together.
Team Earth.
It's like we're all one, right?
Right.
Yeah. Team Earth. I love that.
I like that, Christine. I had it too, Team Earth succeed, because sometimes you feel that, oh, it doesn't matter what others are doing, I'm doing okay, so everything, but it doesn't work this way, right? We're all in it together, so
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the ego tend to make us feel like individualized and separate, and it doesn't matter what my neighbor is thinking, and so it is hard because like when I think about famine, that's an example. Like here people throw food, right? And over there people can't find food. Well, that doesn't make sense, right? And we can't get it together
Right.
like there is enough food for everybody, but it's just we're not making it work for everybody, right?
From what I understand, there's enough food to feed all the population in the world. It's just, I think, corporations and then the media kind of like brainwashing us, saying that, well, we need to find the perfect apple to buy. I mean, so what, an apple doesn't look good, it's still edible.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
But they say I think 50% of all the crops are destroyed because it's not aesthetically pleasing. And then another 50% of the crops that make it to the market, they perish within a certain time. Right? Because it doesn't get sold, so it goes in the dumpster.
I know.
Well, I'm sure that can get donated to food banks or what have you, right?
Yeah.
But then the governments will say, well, it's rotting, so you shouldn't feed it to people.
Yeah, and there is liability issues. France, I just read, France is the first country in the world that they have a new law now, and they impose on restaurants and other places not to throw food. They have to find a way to give it, share it, or whatever, and they put it into law. So now it's the law of the land. The supermarket can't just put stuff outside in their bin and throw them out. And they're the first one, I think, in the world that have done that. So, that's very hopeful because you think, other countries will follow because it doesn't make sense, right? If you go to those huge restaurants or the buffet style restaurant where they throw everything out, and it's so easy to not to do that, So
Exactly.
I don't know. So it's interesting. But anyway, it's just this sentence reminds me of the wholeness, right? We don't think about it every day, right? Because you're just in your own reality, local reality. We don't think about it every day. But it's not just food, in so many other
areas of waste.
Areas, and so definitely Team Earth is not
Team Earth could be better.
Right now. Yeah, Team Earth needs a bit of work, but it's it evolves as we do, like as an individuated unit. The whole evolves as as we evolve, right? So.
Okay. Anything else on 704 that we need to look at that anyone has highlighted?
Well, I said all information remains. This is like the second of the last paragraph before the end. Okay. All information remain accessible indefinitely on the net within the thought space or mind space of NPMR. So
Yeah. And then I think this is where he goes, yeah, even that thing you did, that's in there too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think it's further down, but I know what part you're talking about.
Yeah.
I had a bit of a chuckle there.
Like, right?
So it stores all pertinent information, whether you like it or not, right? And
I must have a big room because.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering, is there a way to prevent people from seeking or looking into your information?
Why? What are you trying to hide?
No, I'm not trying to hide it. I'm just saying like a firewall. I'm just looking at reality. If you look at computer systems these days, there are measures to prevent people from hacking in and viewing your data. So is that also available in the LCS, in the TBC?
Well, on 705, Daniel, he says, the second paragraph down, others can access your data, but there are rules, and only those who have learned how to do so with full awareness. It is not likely that this information will be used for anything other than to help you grow up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these are probably the administrators, I guess?
Yeah, they're admins.
Yeah. Or hackers?
Say that so matter of factly. Yeah, they're admins.
Okay.
So that's kind of reassuring. Nobody's going to use your embarrassing college days against you, right?
It is reassuring. It's reassuring to know too that there needs to be no shame in anything that we've ever done. You know, it's, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody does, and it's all there for us to learn and grow from.
Exactly. It's all about learning and growing.
Yeah.
And our mistakes, other people learn too, right? Not just ourselves, but other people, they can access that. They can learn vicariously through us.
Yeah.
That's why I make mistakes for others.
It's a community service.
Yeah. I'm so good.
You are.
Anything else on page 705?
I liked the last paragraph. I liked a lot of that. It says, second sentence, we call the results of these vaguely intentional queries our intuition. Some people are better than others at accessing the data that are available to their intuition. A developed intuition is a developed awareness of how to purposely access specific data residing in probable reality and actualize historic databases. I love that.
That is good. I kind of missed that. That's cool.
Yeah, I like that too.
When I heard that, I was thinking of our last conversation with chapters 8 and 9. Remember how we were saying, do we access NCMR? How do we access NCMR? And then we were kind of saying, well, we can do it right now. Like, we don't need to be in this meditative state, but we can access it whenever we want to through our intuition, right?
Right.
It's reminded me of that conversation.
Okay, let's jump to 706.
Get the sun into my face.
Ooh. Are you at the SkyTrain station, Vanessa?
I'm in front of the. I just came outside. I wanted to sit in the sunshine. Right by Toys R Us.
Okay, I hear some squeaking.
Oh, that's this car.
Okay.
He needs a tune-up.
It needs a brake job, I think.
Yeah, it's like my car. Yeah.
Anything on 706?
No.
So this is a question I have. Second paragraph down, last sentence, or like last half of that paragraph. Because all possible choices are available, you can theoretically make the storyline run any way you want to, but it is much more useful to follow variations of your personal choices and let all other virtual players make only their most probable moves given the new conditions. What does that mean?
What is that, Christine, exactly? What is that?
Okay, it's the second full paragraph down, and that is basically the second half of that paragraph. Did you say read it again, Vanessa?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Because all possible choices are available, you can
Okay.
theoretically make the storyline run any way you want to, but it is much more useful to follow variations of your personal choices and let all the other virtual players make only their most probable moves given the new conditions.
I couldn't really hear. I was going in and out. But what I'm getting is that you can only make choices for yourself and not to interfere with other people's choices.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to me that sounds kind of.
I mean, he's definitely talking about acts.
He's talking about what? Accessing the future probable database? No.
Either one, either the future or the past. Yeah. And I think at the end it says basically you're accessing those simulations. But what I didn't understand is about the other virtual players. You know, he's saying basically interact with your personal choices.
Yeah, it seems kind of odd because if you're going to make your most, say, profitable choice moving forward to the next delta t, the other players, it may not be the same choice. They're going to make a different choice. So it's like you're spawning off different reality frames. That's the way I see it.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that make sense?
What's the question, Christine?
What does it mean?
Oh, I
gotta
couldn't hear that whole part.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the way I envision that sentence is that if there's three players involved, it's all going to spawn into possibly three different reality frames.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Maybe what he's saying is just like focus on yourself, right?
Yeah.
And focus on like how can you accessing those databases, how can you improve yourself, and it's less about interacting with others in those different databases, maybe.
Right. Yeah, exactly. How are you showing up? Right? How are you being accountable for your own actions?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for me, I keep it simple. I guess I haven't read all the rest, but for me, it's he says this run any way you want your storyline and follow variation of your personal choices. I don't know. For me, it's just I see it in a concrete manner, in the sense that don't make always the same choices. Right? Adjust to the situation. If the condition change, you don't have to repeat the same pattern of behavior. Just change it. You can run another story.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, maybe it's too simple, but that's what I kind of get out, because sometimes we tend to get into the same kind of stuff that we repeat. Our choices look like the same. They say, given the new conditions, you can vary your story or your whatever choice you make. I don't know. It seems very simple. It must not be that, but that's the way I understand it. And for me, it makes sense, because repeating always the same stuff and expecting something different is is not going to get you anywhere. So adjust, change, follow whatever is presented, and choose make another choice, maybe that you have never made. But if it's going to be profitable, try something new. If the other choice were not profitable to you, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, do something different, try something new, right? Don't make the same decision over and over again.
Right.
Take a different choice.
Yeah, I guess everybody can take it everyone can take it the way, but that's the way I see it. And in PMR, like, I'm not in a different reality frame here. I'm talking about our reality here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it works the same here as it does there, though, right? Like,
right.
Yeah.
Right. Anything else on 706? We got a couple minutes left. I don't know if we can go over a little bit or not, but we got another 5 pages to go. 5 or 4 pages.
Oh yeah, no, we don't have a lot of pages to go. We are right.
Here he talks about, just at the second last paragraph, he says, the only difference between you and the emulation of you is that you have the free will necessary to modify the quality of your consciousness. The expectation value driven choices of each modeled player are generally an accurate and realistic representation of that player's quality and intent.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Should we go to 707? Anything there?
I really didn't have anything.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything either.
Okay. 708?
I really like, at the beginning, I guess the second paragraph, do not spend too much energy or time in non-physical reality, or you may neglect or waste the precious time you have in the one reality that is important to your personal growth, physical reality.
Yeah, I had that highlighted. And when I read that, I was thinking, Tom Campbell spends a lot of time in and he's telling us not to spend that much time there. Spend your time in EMR.
Yeah. So for me, I do not access that as a reality. So it was encouraging to hear him say that, right?
Yeah.
I think what he means is that if we're in our PMR state, we can learn and grow much more by creating so much more awareness for ourselves.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's our lesson here, is to learn and grow. And to learn and grow, you need to talk to as many people as you can and just create more awareness for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's been my story, is I keep telling myself, well, I'm here. I might as well, spend as much time as I can here. But then that's also, I justify not going to NPMR and astral traveling and all these things. I justify it by saying, well, because I'm here to learn in this physical matter reality. Mm-hmm. But the reality is I just haven't devoted enough time and been able to astral project or get out of body. So, like, I'm doing ayahuasca next week, and I'm going to shoot myself out of body.
Wow, have fun. Will you tell us about it?
Yeah, Taryn and I are going to go. We're trying to get on for next weekend, so I will definitely share the experience. I don't know. I woke up this morning. I meditated, and that was coming to me. After my meditation, I was like, yep, I need to do ayahuasca. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to hear your experience with that.
Yeah, we'll definitely share on our next book club call.
Yeah. Anyone have anything else on 708? I had the last sentence highlighted. The entire structure of NPMR, including the space-time part, is designed to provide you with the experience and opportunity you need to optimize your learning. The experiences, situation, opportunities that confront you in PMR are, for the most part, the ones your evolving individual consciousness needs in order to learn what is critical to its continued growth. There's just another way of him saying that you need to be in PMR, learn and grow, and increase your state and consciousness state, lower your entropy, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I actually had that next whole paragraph underlined. The path that you are on is your path of maximum opportunity as designed by you with the help, advice, and cooperation of others. You are involved with your lessons, opportunities, and choices as they define your spiritual evolution and growth within the reality that you and your co-conspirators are producing.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, I had that highlighted as well.
Yeah, it's all the idea that the people that are surrounding you are your teachers, right? In a sense, I have the last paragraph, the one I don't know how you call this in bracket, I guess. The three first sentences. Keep in mind that the significance in the big picture is about changing the quality, entropy of your consciousness, while significance in the little picture is most often related to satisfying the needs, wants, desire, and expectation of your ego. So I kind of like the way he framed it, big picture, little picture. And what Christine, you were saying a few weeks ago, that's what you kind of wanting to be in the, you remember, I think it was one of your intent at the very beginning, seeing the big picture and getting out of your little picture, which is not as easy to do as this sentence. But this is what we were I know you were talking about.
Christine, when you were talking about that paragraph, the path that you are on is your path to maximum opportunity, designed by you with the help, advice, and cooperation of others. And I'm just thinking about where we are right now. You're here on this path, which is creating your maximum opportunity. Like, you've come in here, you're designing what you want. And then I'm looking at the cooperation of others, which is the three of us. And we can look at, for me as well, I come here with a specific perception, and I have the three of you helping me expand. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I actually really like that, because that sort of reminds me that, where you're at is exactly where you're supposed to be.
Exactly.
Right.
And you're learning stuff that is different from my learning, because you're at a certain state, and same with me, but we're all in the same environment. You're hearing things differently than I am, but we're still taking the same thought or same communication, but applying it differently based on how we need it.
And also what we were saying at the beginning, and you don't learn just by saying by yourself, or just reading books or going to university. This is how you learn, by connecting and letting others teach you stuff. Not directly, but what we are doing here, make you aware of stuff. Yeah, because you can read stuff, but the awareness comes when we share our experience and we hear, others' experience, and that you will not find it in an interaction when you are alone. Like when you are reading a book, it's the book and you learn, but there is no back and forth like we are doing now. So the awareness, I guess, it's a learning, but it's not an awareness. It's different from the awareness. You can learn a lot of stuff, but are you aware of what it means for you, let's say, and how it impacts you?
And being open to learning too, right?
Yeah.
Because we can be out in a public venue with lots of different people and still not learn. But we have to have that intent to want to learn and want to connect with other people as well.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
The willingness and taking action to wanting to learn.
Yeah.
How about page 710? I like the last sentence on the side. Belief traps and narrow paradigms don't make you stupid. They simply limit your capacity and ability to understand.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good one.
Anything else on that page? How about page 711, the last page?
I love that whole last paragraph.
You want to read that?
Sure. If your sense of personal importance or significance is shattered by the sheer size of the bigger picture, you concentrate on playing your part, your important part, to the best of your ability. You should focus on maximizing every opportunity to grow the quality of your being, the success of which is reflected by the choices that you make. Be your best and don't worry too much about the small stuff or the big stuff. Just be. That's actually where I stopped underlining. I thought that was so good.
Yeah. I just underline just be, you know.
He says it so simple too, right? Just be.
It's so simple, but so difficult at the same time.
Yes, yes.
We make it complicated, but it should be simple, right? Like
I
Tom
think that's
said.
what we do. I think that's why, that's part of our ego. We try to make it complicated when it really doesn't have to be. Just be, just feel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, just be. Yeah, exactly. The ego, it's always that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was great, guys.
Yes,
Awesome.
it was.
I didn't have my nose in the book, but this was a really neat perspective to kind of be more observant and listen and hear what everybody had to share. So thank you for this. I really enjoyed this. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, but you were still was able to follow quite well. Without the book, I don't know how, but you did follow. I guess it's in your head. The chapter was still in your mind.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go back to shopping. So.
Okay.
Good
So
shopping.
do you want to just cover chapters 83 for next week? It looks like it's how many pages? 9 pages. But
just
there seems
one.
to be quite a few things in there too. So
yeah, let's stick with one chapter. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just one is good because
I see Christine's happy there with a big smile. Yeah.
We're all happy. We can dig deep, right? When it's only one.
Yeah, we should slow it down because we're at the tail end here. We want to make this last as long as we can, right?
And get the most out of it, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
Exactly.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Okay. Have a good one.
See you.
Bye.
Yes. Bye-bye.